Hello, everybody. All right, welcome to the Mikestand. Today is um, Friday, May the 23rd, 2025. So here's what's on tap for tonight. We're going to, okay, I'm going to wait a few minutes, give people a chance to come in before we get started. As always, if you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people to engage, that'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions, and I will answer the questions to the best of my ability. So, with that being said, we'll give it a few minutes for people to show up. See if we can let's see if get some people to show up here. So hopefully everybody's ready for a good week. Actually, it's going to be a little bit longer weekend because it is a holiday weekend. It's Memorial Day on Monday, the Memorial Day weekend. So for those of you, if you guys can keep those who remember those who we lost, in defense of our country. Um, those who gave up their lives so that we could enjoy our freedom. So at least give some consideration to them, as we think about them over the weekend here. Um, anyways, I'm going to go off camera here for a quick moment. I'll be right back. Yeah. I'll be right back. All right, so as we are now, okay, so now we are at three people now. We're just over 3.5 minutes, coming up on 4 minutes. So I guess I'll get into what we're gonna over tonight. So I do have one article I'm gonna go over from Bleeding Fool, talking about how retro comics are making a bit of a renaissance here. Um, let's see. Aside from that, of course, we're gonna have a bit more of a wrestling wrap up as we do have quite a bit going on this weekend. We have three major events, including Under Siege tonight, TNA. Well, look back to last night's, of course, Collision and Impact. Look ahead to tonight's SmackDown. Look ahead to the weekend's actions here. And then we will conclude with this day in each history. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. As we're just past the 4.5 minute mark, so let's go ahead get started here. And as always, if you guys can help out by wrong thing there. If you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people to engage, that'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. Alrighty then. Let's get started here then. How Retro Comics Fuel Today's Pop Culture Renaissance, article by Corey Schilling, published today, May 23rd, 2025. So let's take a look at all this. So, the bright panels of the 1960s Spider-Man comics, complete with their breaking colors and action-oriented design, astound devotees even today. The enduring appeal of vintage comics has sparked a pop culture renaissance in which classic design informs modern films, video games, and online media. Nostalgia, the great motivator of geek culture, pushes artists to draw inspiration from the visual and thematic motifs of classic comics and reinterpret them for a new audience. Somewhat true. I don't know if that as much as what's going on with modern comics, but obviously there is a thirst for nostalgia and nostalgic comics, considering that a lot of the stuff that's being put out today and the modern stuff is turning a lot of people off. From television to interactive platforms, retro comic book imagery is leading a cultural revival that resonates powerfully with enthusiasts who are besotted with the nostalgic appeal of the storytelling of yesteryear. Retro imagery on interactive panels. Interactive platforms like online casinos have jumped on this retro trend, adopting retro comic book imagery in a bid to offer a visually pleasing digital content. Moreover, due to their rise in popularity, plenty of online casino platforms aim to appeal to the aesthetic of a broader demographic. For instance, if you choose to join a platform with a BetMGM casino bonus code, there is a high chance that you can find a slot game with such aesthetic among other iGaming options. Maybe you'll get like a Tom and Jerry or a Droopy, themed casino, or even Barney Bear or Scrooge Squirrel. Slot machines today can offer games that are full of pixelated superhero graphics or gaudy four-color art reminiscent of the 1970s comics. It is a style that is characteristic of a broader trend in geek culture that takes advantage of familiarity with visual vocabulary from old comics to establish a sense of nostalgia, connecting players to the visual traditions of their favorite childhood stories. This approach highlights the manner in which comic-inspired graphics bring together entertainment platforms, embracing an appreciation of old-school culture. And again, as always, if you guys can help out by liking and sharing the screen, see if we can get some more friendly people to engage, that'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. So as we continue on here with the article, it's retro comics on TV and film. The influence of retro comics extends far beyond the world of online gaming. On television, shows like Stranger Things adopt a distinct 1980s comic book look, from big bold title lettering to vibrant color schemes that evoke the style of X-Men or Teen Titans covers. These visual references create an immediate connection back to geek culture's past, requesting the viewer to relive the excitement of thumbing through a comic at the newsstand. Similarly, films like Scott Pilgrim versus the World utilize comic onomatopoeia. Um, Onomatopoeia is basically a word that is a sound, like bang, boom, crash, and panel transitions to pay homage to dynamic page layouts of Silver Age comics, blurring nostalgia and modern storytelling techniques. Retro influence in video games. Video games also draw heavily from old comic art visuals, particularly within the independent market. Covered type games emulate the rubber hose animation style used by cartoons of the 1930s, which are themselves visually descended from early comic strips. A hand-drawn look and bright colors of the game bring about the same sense of wonder provided by vintage Superman or Batman comics, proving that retro art does have a place in interactive media. This resurgence is a manifestation of a broader cultural fascination with authenticity, where developers use retro styles to get themselves heard in a crowded digital space. Key elements of retro comic impact. Retro comics are beloved because they are bold and straightforward characteristics that simply translate across media. These are key ways in which retro comic designs affects current pop culture. Bold color schemes. The four-color printing technology of vintage comic books drives bold schemes in video games and films. Um, dynamic composition. Dynamic composition. Comic book like panel changes in movies and television shows drive dynamic narrative. Retro typography. Retro fonts, like those on classic comic book covers, grace media logos. Over-the-top art styles, over-the-top character design like that of Jack Kirby's fuels modern animation and cultural references to favorite nostalgic classic comic moment icons trigger both recognition and applause from audience, uniting them in a common geek culture. Now, mind you, again, if you haven't already, you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream. See if we can get some more friendly people to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. Hey, Big Shozo. Thanks for popping in. All right, so continuing on with the article here. It's not so much about appearance, it's about storytelling. Oh, all right. Blending old and new in story. It's not so much about appearance, it's about storytelling. Old comics were frequently straightforward tales of established heroes and villains. Yes, and in fact, I think sometimes some of my co-hosts, have pointed that out. That sometimes it may have even been a little too straightforward, right? Something straightforward compared to the current complex, interconnected film universes. Series like The Umbrella Academy combined present-day story with period comic visuals, using grainy textures and thick outlines to create the appearance of 1980s independent comics. Let's see. This fusion of the old and new is a particular form of cultural bridge, allowing readers to celebrate the past while engaging in modern storylines. The search for authenticity. Authenticity, 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 authenticity. Little parody there. So the search for authenticity. The vintage charm of classic comics also reflects a search for authenticity in an age that is swimming in digital sheen. People are drawn to the human imperfections of hand-drawn comics, smeared ink, and misregistering print, which are more evocative than the overly slick CGI of the present day. It is the human touch that drives the appeal of retro-style merchandise, from 1980s soundtrack records on vinyl to replicas of old Marvel and DC comics. Geek culture thrives on this sense of history, in which the physical contact of a comic book itself is a witness to collective fandom. And finally here, a perpetual cultural legacy. As pop culture continues to draw from the rich legacy of comics, retro themes will similarly continue to push their profile through the union of vivid imagery and antiquated storytelling. Artists tap into a pool of cultural energy that communicates across generations. From films, video games, to internet, the essence of retro comics is part and parcel of contemporary creativity, indicating geek culture's love for things of the past is a powerful influence behind modern creative rebirth. Alrighty then. So, that's the only story we're going to do tonight, as I mentioned, due to the fact that we have quite a bit of wrestling to go over. Wrestling, news tonight. As I said, we have like 3 big events coming up over the weekend. Tonight's TNA Under Siege pay-per-view. Tomorrow night's Saturday night's main event. Then on Sunday, you got a couple of competing pay-per-views. WWE NXT's Battleground and AEW's Double or Nothing. But of course, before we do get started on looking ahead, let's look back to last night's action. As first off, we're going to talk a little bit about special night of Collision last night. As last night, of course, they decided to air Collision on last night instead of waiting until Saturday. This, of course, is the go-home Collision before this weekend's before this Sunday's Double or Nothing. So we will talk about all that happened on there last night. So coming from the Rio Rancho Event Center in Rio Rancho, New Mexico, you have Excalibur and Tony Schiavone on commentary, with Adam Cole and Don Callis joining them at certain points of the night. So the Opening match of the evening saw the Don Callis family members of New Japan Never Openweight champion Konosuke Takeshita teaming with Roppongi Vice of Trent Beretta and Rocky Romero with Lance Archer in their corner, defeating Ring of Honor World Champion Bandito and the Outrunners, Tobo Floyd and Truth Magnum, in a 6-man tag match. In a match for the AEW TBS title, Mercedes Moné, coming off of her interview and beat down from Jamie Hayter on the previous night's Dynamite. Mercedes Moné defended and retained the TBS title against CMLL luchadora Reina Isis. Kyle Fletcher of the Don Callis family defeated Jay Lethal in a one-on-one match. Paragon of Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong defeated the Grizzled Young Veterans, making their first appearance on AEW in quite some time. James Drake and Zach Gibson. Josh Alexander defeated AR Fox in a one-on-one match. In another trios match involving 6 CMLL stars, Máscara Dorado, Místico, and currently one half of the IWGP Tag Team Champions, Templario, or one half of the IWGP Junior Heavyweight. Templario defeated Los Desperados of Magnus, Rugido, and Volador Jr. And in the main event, saw Commander and Speedball Mike Bailey team up to defeat La Facción Ingobernables duo of Jalisco and Rush, as the two of them have had some recent issues with said members. Now let's go back and let's also talk about what happened on last night's Impact. Go home Impact before tonight's Under Siege pay-per-view, as coming from the Brenna Event Center in Irvine, California, with Matthew Rainwell and Tom Hannafan on commentary, joined throughout the night at times by Cody Deana, O'Shea Jackson Jr., and Trick Williams Jr. The night opened up with a singles match in which Mustafa Ali defeated Ace Austin. Triple A's Aztec Warriors Laredo and Octagon Jr. defeated the Northern Armory of Judas Icarus and Travis Williams with Eric Young in their corner. Eddie Edwards defeated Jake Painter in a singles match. The first class duo of AJ Francis and Casey Navarro defeated Mike Santana and Sami Callihan. In a lead up to in a kind of a tune-up match before their upcoming Knockouts title match coming up tonight, Spitfire, Danny Luna, and Jody Threat defeated Maserati and Vipress. The main event saw Elijah and Joe Hendry, the current TNA World Heavyweight Champion, defeat the System's Brian Myers and Moose with JDC in their corner. So that all happened on last night. So now looking ahead to tonight, as we were looking ahead to what's going down tonight, because there's quite a bit of action. We got SmackDown tonight. We got the Under Siege pay-per-view. We got Ring of Honor is doing a special YouTube broadcast tonight of Ring of Honor television, TV. So we'll be looking at all that. First off, start off by talking about the Ring of Honor show tonight. We can look forward to with that. So on tonight's Ring of Honor on Honor Club, 117th episode coming from the Masonic Temple Theater in Detroit, Michigan, with Caprice Coleman and Ian Riccaboni on commentary. Gringo Loco takes on Blake Christian in a singles match. Laney Luck will take on Marina Shafir, as Marina Shafir looking to continue to build momentum for the Death Riders heading into this Sunday's Anarchy in the Arena match. We'll talk about that in a moment. In a Pure Rules match, Queen Aminata gets her taste in tonight, taking on Allison Kay. And then in a 6-man tag, in a trios match, involving CMLL talent, Barbero Cavernario, Hechicero, and Volador Jr. take on Atlantis Jr., Fuego, and Neon. So there's that. And then we're going to now, of course, before we take a look at the pay-per-view, obviously, we're going to take a look at what's going to be going down on tonight's SmackDown. This will be, of course, the go-home SmackDown before tomorrow night's Saturday night's main event. This is what you can look forward to. As SmackDown tonight is coming from the End Market Arena in Savannah, Georgia, on the USA Network. You'll have, of course, two Money in the Bank qualifying matches. As you'll have a men's qualifying match for the Money in the Bank, in which Shunsuke Nakamura, in a triple threat qualifying match for Money in the Bank on the men's side, Shinsuke Nakamura takes on Aleister Black and takes on LA Knight. In a non-title Money in the Bank qualifying triple threat match, WWE Women's United in a non-title Money in the Bank women's qualifying match, triple threat match. Women's United States Champion Zelina Vega takes on Charlotte Flair, and they take on Julia. In a match for the tag team titles, the Street Profits will be defending the WWE tag titles against Fraxia. So that's all going down tonight on SmackDown. Now going down tonight on now the pay-per-view tonight. What you can look forward to on tonight's Under Siege. There's also the countdown. Let's see. Hold on. So on tonight's Under Siege from Brampton, Ontario, Canada, from the CAA Center in Brampton, Ontario, Canada, you will have in a match that was set up about a couple weeks ago, Tessa Blanchard with Robert Stone in her corner will be taking on Ariana Grace and Santino Marella in her corner. As there's been a bit of a power struggle the last few weeks between Robert Stone and now Santino Marella is the director of authority, but supposedly Robert Stone has been given some kind of blanket authority to kind of observe and counteract Santino's decisions. It still hasn't been revealed what, how, or what, or why, but that's the story they're working. Mike Santana continues his rise as he takes on First Class's AJ Francis in a one-on-one match. He'll have, of course, Casey Navarro in his corner. In a match for the TNA Knockouts World Tag Team titles, the By Elegance brand of Ash and Heather By Elegance, with the personal concierge in their corner, take on the former champions Spitfire, Danny Luna, and Jody Threat, as they look to once again regain the title, this time for a third time. In what could be his last match in TNA, Cody Deaner takes on the System's Eddie Edwards, as it's said that Cody Deaner's contract is coming up will be up, I think, after tonight. In a match that was set up a few weeks ago for the TNA Knockout World Title, Masha Slamovich will defend the TNA Knockout World Title against Victoria Crawford, who was a few weeks ago made the deputy director of authority, by Robert Stone. By which authority, nobody still knows how he could do that. What is being promoted as a Hardy Boys contractual rematch. The Nemeths, Nick and Ryan Nemeth, will defend the TNA World Tag Team titles against Matt Hardy and Leon Slater. And the reason Leon Slater is filling in for Jeff here is Jeff, due to his legal issues here in the States, is not allowed to cross the Canadian border. So the Nemeths decided to give the Hardys the contractual rematch, and this thinking in hopes of having an easier title defense, since Slater and Hardy are not as regular a team as Matt and Jeff. And in the main event, we'll see TNA World Champion Joe Hendry team up with Elijah to take on Frankie Kazarian and Trick Williams. This, of course, is setting up for Joe Hendry's title defense this Sunday at Battleground. We'll talk more about that in a few minutes here, but with the crossover here going on. So now that's all we have for tonight. So now let's look ahead to what's going to be going down tomorrow night. On Saturday night's main event for WWE. We head to Saturday night's main event to talk a bit more about what's on tap for that. Look forward to this weekend. And of course, the Saturday night's main event will be on free TV. It will be on NBC for those of you who may not be aware. As tradition has been, that Saturday night's main event originally started on NBC all those years ago, coming from the Youngling Center in Tampa, Florida, with Michael Cole and Pat McAfee on commentary. You have 4 matches on the night. To try to settle their feud, Drew McIntyre takes on Damian Priest in a steel cage match. Now, there's been some reports that Damian Priest may be going into the match injured here, and they've talked about how he's been kind of just trying to work his way through the injuries and all that. But so that's the opening match, supposedly, or one of the matches. CM Punk and Sami Zayn are set to take on Braun Breaker and Seth Rollins in a tag team match with Paul Heyman in their corner. In what is now being called a non-title match, undisputed champion John Cena takes R-Truth, as R-Truth looks to get some revenge on John Cena for FUing him through a table back a few weeks ago at WrestleMania. A couple weeks ago at WrestleMania. In the main event, we'll see Jey Uso defend the WWE World Heavyweight Championship against Logan Paul. So that's coming up on tomorrow night's Saturday night's main event. Now, as we get ready to move ahead to Sunday, we now get ready to move ahead to Sunday. As we have 2 pay-per-views Sunday. We have NXT. We have NXT Battleground from WWE, which will also be taking place in Tampa, Florida. This will be on Netflix. It'll be on from the Youngling Center in Tampa, Florida, the premium live event. You have in the opening match, you have a 6-man tag match in which the NXT Tag Team Champions Tank Ledger and Hank Walker, Hank and Tank, teaming up with Josh Briggs to take on the Cullings, Brooks Jensen, Sean Spears, and Nico Vance, with Izzy Dame in their corner. In a match for the NXT Women's North American title, Sol Ruca will be defending the title against Kalani Jordan, who earned that shot this past Tuesday by defeating Sol Ruca's friend Zarya in a number one contenders match. In a battle of family members, as it were, Tony D'Angelo takes on Channing Lorenzo. As we mentioned earlier, for the first time ever on WWE programming, the TNA World Heavyweight title will be defended on WWE programming as Joe Hendry defends the TNA World title against Trick Williams, former NXT champion. In a match for the NXT Women's Champion, Stephanie Vaquer defends the NXT Women's Champion against former TNA Knockouts champion Jordan Grace. And the main event will see Oba Femi defend the NXT title against Miles Bourne. Miles Bourne being the first deaf competitor or partially deaf competitor in WWE history. He's not the first deaf competitor in professional wrestling history, but he is the first partially deaf competitor in WWE history. So there we go with that. Hey there, or the Atomic Court. What is the Jetsons eat? Didn't you ask this already? You asked this last time you came on too. I already told you it's Jet Screamers Eat Up or Oop I appreciate you like the cartoons and stuff like that. I already told you that. It was sorry, I forgot. Yeah, that was from the song "A Date with Jet Screamer." It was the one where Judy wrote the song. Initially, she was going to write her song, but her father, trying to dissuade her from her crush, decided to put Elroy's garbled code. And the thing ended up backfiring. So it was a few days ago. Jet Screamer. Yeah, it was a Jetsons episode. It was one of the earliest Jetsons episodes. Basically, the idea is that Judy had a crush on a musician at the time, rock star by the name of Jet Screamer in the episode. She's a big fan of his. As happens sometimes with teenagers, they become obsessed. She had all his pictures, all his memorabilia, and all that. Judy's father was not too taken to the idea that this rock star was taking his daughter's affections away, and so when she decided she wrote a song, for a contest. So there was a contest where the winner would earn a date with Jet Screamer, and Judy had written a song for it, but thinking that Elroy, because Elroy in the same episode had made up this code with his friend where it was eep up or eep up which meant meet me tonight. Well, George decided to put that in the envelope instead of Judy's song, and it ended up winning the contest. So that's how it all. I like it when you do the song, Mike. That's what I meant to ask. Well, I can't do it all the time. I mean, opinion on the Ren and Stimpy show. I've never watched it. Never really got into it, so don't really have much to say on that. But I guess if you like it so much, I guess I get one more time here. Eep, op, or eep, op, or eep, op, or that means I love you. So anyways, all right. So anyways, let's get back to the wrestling wrap up here. We do have just a little bit more to go here before to finish up here. So we have one more, of course. We have AEW's Double or Nothing coming up on Sunday. So let's talk a bit about that before we start to wind things down. And so and let me see, so now they're showing even the buy-in. So this Sunday, the Double or Nothing event. This will be the 6th event. Double or Nothing was essentially the first event AEW ever held, and of course the buy-in will be on YouTube. It'll take place in the Desert Diamond Arena in Glendale, Arizona. Already signed for the buy-in, that basically the pre-show. Megan Bain and Penelope Ford team up to take on Harley Cameron and Anna Jay. On the buy-in show, the pre-show, basically for Double or Nothing. Now looking ahead to the Ren and Stimpy is one of my favorites. All right, well there you go, Ortonic. Maybe Meadow would probably have more answers for you on Ren and Stimpy than I would. So there you go. So anyways, so here's the main card for Double or Nothing this Sunday from the Desert Diamond Arena in Glendale, Arizona. Looks like the opening match is set to be a 6-man tag match between the Don Callis family members of Josh Alexander, Kyle Fletcher, and New Japan Never Openweight champion Konosuke Takeshita taking on Paragon of TNT champion Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, and Roderick Strong. In a match for the AEW Continental title, Kazuchika Okada of the Elite will defend the title against Speedball Mike Bailey. In another tag team matchup, FTR of Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler with Stokely in their corner take on former TNT champion Daniel Garcia and former Ring of Honor World Champion Nigel McGuinness. In a stretcher match, Mark Briscoe takes on Ricochet. Now, in a stretcher match, the object of the match is to strap your opponent into a stretcher and put him in an ambulance and send him off. So you have to basically beat down your opponent to the point to where you can get him on the stretcher, strap him in, get him locked in the ambulance, and get him out of there. So that's for the stretcher match. So they have a stretcher match set between Mark Briscoe and Ricochet coming up. In a match for the AEW World Tag Team titles, the Hurt Syndicate of Shelton Benjamin and Bobby Lashley take on Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions, the Sons of Texas, Sammy Guevara and Dustin Rhodes, which in a match which has come pretty heated in the last few days here. In a match of the AEW Women's World Title, Toni Storm will be defending against Mina Shirakawa. Now, Toni Storm may not be going into this match 100%, as she was on commentary during Mina's match. Sky Blue came out and attacked Mina Shirakawa after Mina Shirakawa got a victory on Julia Hart, as Julia Hart and Sky Blue attacked Mina. Toni Storm came in to fend them off, only for Mina to attack Toni Storm, probably in the hopes of weakening her before the upcoming title match, applying the figure 4 on the ring post, a la, Bret Hart and Ric Flair. So we'll have to wait and see. In a non-title match in the women's tournament final, the Owen Hart tournament, with the winner of the match getting a shot at the winner of the AEW Women's World Title, obviously the winner of Sunday's match between Toni Storm and Mina Shirakawa at All In July. TBS champion Mercedes Moné takes on former AEW Women's World Champion Jamie Hayter. Jamie Hayter is looking to get a chance to go up against Toni Storm to avenge her loss, while Mercedes Moné is trying to come off of the recent loss of the strong title to Azumi. Anarchy in the Arena will also be taking place this Sunday, as Kenny Omega, Swerve Strickland, AEW Trios Champions, the Ops of Powerhouse Hobbs, Samoa Joe, and Katsuyori Shibata, and Will Nightingale will be taking on the Death Riders of AEW World Champion Jon Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, Marina Shafir, and Wheeler Yuta, as well as the EVPs, the Young Bucks, Matthew Nicholas Jackson. This is, I believe, the first Anarchy in the Arena match. Now, this match is a very violent match, mind you. A very violent, bloody, enclosed cage match. It's basically on the same level as WWE's Hell in a Cell. I think it's you could even argue that the kind of a variation of Hell in a Cell, or just under a different name. I believe this is the first Anarchy in the Arena match in which women will be involved, as Willow Nightingale and Marina Shafir will be involved in this match as well. There'll be active participants in this match, mind you. Sorry about that. It's okay. Anyways, and in the main event, the men's tournament final, the Owen Hart tournament, with, of course, again, the winner getting a title shot at AEW World Champion Jon Moxley at All In. Former AEW World Champion Hangman Adam Page will take on former AEW International Champion Will Ospreay. And I forgot that Kenny Omega is the current AEW International Champion as well. Forgot about that. So with that, that's all we got in terms of the wrestling wrap-up for you guys. So with that being said, of course, now, let me just take a look here. Today is, of course, as I said, Friday, May 23rd, 2025. So let's take a look back at this date in Nietzsche history. So first off, we're going to head back. Well, actually, first off, we're going to wish a happy birthday to Kappei Yamaguchi. Kabei Yamaguchi is a Japanese actor, voice actor. Happy 60th birthday. He is of course, he is known as a male version, the Japanese male version voice of Ranma Saotomi in Ranma One Half. He's also done the voice of the Japanese voice of Inuyasha and Inuyasha, and Shigoro Yashahime. He was L in Death Note, among others. Let's see. He currently voices Shuichi Kudo and Kaido Kid in Case Closed, as well as Usopp in One Piece. These are the Japanese voices, of course. So happy 60th birthday to Japanese actor, voice actor Kabei Yamaguchi. Quite a as I understand it, he's quite a well-known voice actor in that regard. So now moving ahead to the year 2000, 25 years ago today, on this date in the year 2000, I believe it was a taping for WCW Thunder that was aired the following night, Kevin Nash defeated Jeff Jarrett and Scott Steiner to win the WCW World Heavyweight Champion. So Kevin Nash defeated Jeff Jarrett and Scott Steiner in a triple threat match to become the new WCW World Heavyweight Champion on this date back in 2000, 20 years ago, 25 years ago. A match which aired on Thunder the following night on the 24th. There's a funny joke in the Rumic World bit at the beginning of the Weekly Shonen Sunday 50th anniversary special, poking fun at Ranma and Inuyasha sounding the same. Well, that's of course because of the fact that I guess you could argue that's probably because of the fact that, of course, they have the same Japanese voice actor now. We just found that out. So, Atomic Ort's message keeps getting deleted. Why? I don't know. I wasn't even aware it was getting deleted. I'm certainly not. I'm certainly not deleting his messages. Maybe he himself. I don't know. Maybe he himself is deleting it, or maybe. Again, I don't know. I don't know why it's getting deleted. Maybe he's deleting it, but I wasn't even aware it was getting deleted. So there shouldn't be. I mean, everything he said wasn't bad or anything like that. Same thing happened in English because Richard Cox played Ranma in the second half of the series and Inuyasha throughout. Yep, yeah, well, while I'm not as aware of the Ranma fact, I am aware of the Inuyasha fact. Metal. Anyways, now moving on to the last piece of niche history here, before we start to wrap things up. Moving ahead to the year 2007, which of course was 18 years ago today, as soon as I grab that. All right, so on this day in the year 2007, 18 years ago today, the 575th issue of Archie went on sale on this date back in 2007. The stories included Be on the Lookout, BEE, Good Taste in Cars, Baby Talk, and Some Musings. So on this day in 2007, the 175th issue of Archie went on sale on this date. On this date in 2007. All right, so let's see now. Artists just being wise and burning the paper trail. Respect. All right. Well, again, again, don't see why there was even a need to, because he didn't really say anything. He didn't say anything bad or negative or anything like that. But please donate to my Ko-fi. I'm selling some posters of comic characters through there. I'm kind of at the lower end of my funds right now. This shows though. I'm on disability, so it's not like I can spend a whole lot of money. So I'm sorry I can't help you with that. But but again, if you want to share your link and anybody wants to donate, they're welcome to do that. It's not about what was said. It's about keeping your appointed CIA agent on their feet. Okay. All right. So with that, I thank everybody for being there. I hope everybody enjoyed the show tonight. We'll be back here on Sunday with as Apex from Apex Comics will be joining me. We'll be looking back at comics that went on sale in May of 1940. We'll be looking at comics that went on sale from Novelty Press. So we'll be looking at, I believe, Blue Bolt and Target Comics. So with that, I thank everybody for being here, and I hope to see everybody back here on Sunday. Bye.